Oh, it was the funniest job ever. Like a Bob Marley t-shirt stall, like professional models from modeling agencies in Sydney. But it was quite boring. I just am the biggest fan of beauty retail and just chat shit. I was like, I can get another job. No one tells 100% the truth on their CV. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are we? Are we well? Are we hydrated? How are we feeling? To be honest, I feel awful, but the show must go on. We must continue to make the videos, and you know, at least I don't look awful. I had a shower, did my makeup. It's not what this video is about. Okay, let's get into it. So as you know already by the title, I'm going to tell you all about my jobs. All about the jobs I've had in my life, how many jobs I've had, and kind of what each of those jobs were. I'm only 25, nearly 26, so it's not normal, I suppose, for people to have had over 30 jobs at age 26. I don't know, let me know. Maybe there's more people like me out there. But I just kind of want to talk you through all the jobs I've had, my favorite jobs, my least favorite jobs, and I might give a few like interview tips on like how to get any job you want, because clearly I'm very good at it. I wrote down all the jobs I've had in this notebook because there's no way I was going to remember them all off the top of my head. It literally took me like half an hour to remember them all, and to be honest, I think I'm after even forgetting one or two. Some people might watch this video and be like, wow, she's so unreliable, she's so flaky, but 95% of these jobs are jobs I did as like filler jobs, seasonal jobs, jobs while I was like finding myself. You know, I'm not the type of person to stay in a job if I absolutely hate it. I have an advocate personality type on the Myers-Briggs. If you look that up, you'll know what that means. Under the kind of advocate personality, it says that advocates struggle in work that doesn't take their personal needs into consideration, is overly repetitive, or promotes conflict. They don't do well in corporate setting. They crave creativity, need to find meaning in their work and know that they're helping and connecting with people. Struggle to begin a career early on because they see 10 wildly different paths forward, each with its own set of rewards. Likely to find most corporate career paths are not designed for them. I've actually never done corporate. Out of all the jobs I've done, never done corporate. However, people with this personality are able to find work that suits them in just about any field. I just said I'd give you a kind of thing on my personality type. Like most of these jobs that I did, I didn't see myself working in them forever. So that's why I hopped around, because as soon as I was like dreading going into work, I would be like, okay, time for a new job. You know, in my opinion, I could always get another job. That was just a mindset I had. So basically, if a job wasn't suiting me, if I had a clash with anyone, if I found it was a very negative area with negative vibes and negative energy, I'd just move on. So that's probably one of the reasons for all the jobs. So I'm gonna start. These jobs are in no particular order because, to be honest, there's so many jobs here, and basically when I'm applying for a job, I tailor my CV. So I have a hospitality CV, I'd have a beauty CV, I'd have an admin kind of CV, I'd have a creative CV. I have loads of different CVs. Who's gonna want to hire me after this? Who is going to want to hire me? So I'm just gonna start naming out all the jobs, and I'm gonna go in like genre, I guess. So in front of me here, I have retail, beauty, hospitality, and miscellaneous then at the end. I'm gonna try and start with the earliest one. I'm gonna start with my very first job because I genuinely do remember what my first job was. So my first job was working in my parents' clothes shop. Growing up, my parents had two clothes shops. It was like a women's clothes shop. It sold like jeans, leather jackets, tops. It was like a boutique. So as soon as I was old enough to fold clothes and organize the stockroom, I was put in there. Probably from about age 12, I want to say. I hated folding clothes. I was so bad at folding clothes. I absolutely hated it. So that was my very first job, which started me off at age 12. I'm not going to go with like my first job to my last job because I couldn't tell you the order of some of these jobs. Like so many of these jobs overlapped. But we're going to stick with retail. So the next retail job I think I had after that was working in Harvey Norman. Harvey Norman, if you don't know, is like an electrical store. I was on the computer section, which sold laptops, MacBooks, Apple desktops, there was cameras, there was like all the Wi-Fi extenders, all the accessories for computers and stuff. I would have always been quite good with technological things, so I really enjoyed working in Harvey Norman. I didn't have a clue when I went in there about, like, I knew about laptops, but I never, I guess, knew the specifics. So I remember it was at the time where tablets were just after coming out. So there was like tablets like Samsung and all those other brands, and then there was the iPad. And I remember the interface of the iPad was so much easier. So if anyone ever came to me looking to buy a tablet, I'd like sell them an iPad because I knew how to sell an iPad because I knew what it was about, but like I couldn't work the tablets. I hate the Android interface. It just didn't work for me. And another time I was working and a guy came up looking for, I actually still don't know what it is to this day, something to do with an Apple computer. It's like the very expensive, I think it was a hard drive or something, but I sold it to him anyway, and I sold him like the most expensive one with the most memory. And I remember my manager came up to me after that and was like, do you know what you just sold? And I was like, not a clue. I didn't know about half the things I was selling. I just love chatting to people. So Harvey Norman was definitely one of my more favorite jobs. All the guys I worked with were so sound. It was like mostly guys. I worked in CEX, which is another kind of electrical computer, PlayStation games, Xbox games. You know those stores where like you go and exchange? So people used to bring in like DVDs and games and stuff to exchange for money or exchange for the games. You could buy like secondhand PlayStations, Xboxes, cameras, phones. It was one of those shops. Everyone in there was so chilled. There was no uniform, which was great because I do not do well with uniforms. I hate the idea of uniforms and authority and all that kind of stuff. Everyone there was so sound. I really liked it. And I stayed there for a while, I think, but then I got a better offer because it was a 0-hour contract. Out of all the jobs I've had, only a few of them have actually been 0-hour contracts, but I hate the idea of 0-hour contracts. They actually drive me demented. I just don't understand it. One of my longest jobs actually was Spar. So Spar is like a convenience store, like a mini supermarket. It had a deli. I worked in both the deli and the cashier, and I worked there, I can't remember what age I was, and I can't remember exactly how long I worked there for. It was an easy job. I didn't hate it. I really enjoyed the people I work with. The people I work with there were so sound. The next job I've had was in Next. So Next is a clothing store. I didn't work there for long. I'm pretty sure I only worked there for like, they have these summer sales every year, and my neighbor is like a manager in Next, so I was in as like a temporary person for the clothes, but I hate working in all clothes shops. It's fun just because it was temporary position. There was loads of people my age doing temporary work. Another job I worked in, again along the clothes, is Deviate. Deviate is again like a retail store. I didn't work in there for long, I don't think. I think it was actually a 0-hour contract job as well. I can't really remember how long I was in there. I don't think it was long. The next job I worked in retail was in Sunglass Hut. So I worked in Sunglass Hut when I lived in Dublin, and I was in a really weird place in my life when I got the job in Sunglass Hut. A lot of the work in Sunglass Hut, like it's a small store, or it was at the time anyway, the store I was working in. So a lot of the times you'd be working by yourself, and it wouldn't be like, it wasn't the busiest of stores. So like when people come in, I'd chat to them. I had to know everything about every single style of sunglasses. Like all the Ray-Bans, I had to know the differences between all of them. I had to know the codes for all of them. But it was fun because like selling sunglasses to people is kind of fun. And also you spend a lot of my time trying on different sunglasses and like mentally buying all the sunglasses. But it was quite boring because again, I was the only one in there most of the time other than my manager. And then like, there was nothing really to do. Like, yeah, you could polish the sunglasses, but there's only so many sunglasses you can polish before you actually lose your mind. Like, I remember as well, the one I worked in, like, had late opening hours. So, like, who was buying sunglasses at 9 in the morning? No one. Who's buying sunglasses at, like, 8 at night? No one. Another retail place I worked in is a Jewelers, a local Jewelers in my town. I'm not going to name it. Don't want to name names. But yeah, I worked in a local small jeweller's in my town. It was fun. The girls I worked with were really nice. I went between two of their jewellery shops. I loved looking at the jewellery and like selling people jewellery, and I worked there. I don't think I worked there for long either, to be honest. Another retail-ish job I worked in, when I was in Sydney, my first job in Sydney was in an online store clothing warehouse. So I was basically picking and packing the online orders that people used to put in, or I was on the computers doing the returns. I'd be like opening the returns, making sure the return was like clean, didn't smell, and like in good condition to return, and then like okaying the return on the computer. I enjoyed the bit on the computer returning, but the packing and picking, like walking up and down and like picking a skirt off a shelf and then like it was fine, but not my favorite job. I think my favorite retail job ever was when I was in California on a J1. I lived in San Diego, and in San Diego every year there's something called the Del Mar Fair. If you're near San Diego, or if you live in San Diego, you probably know it. It's in the Del Mar Fairgrounds, and the one I worked in was called the Fab Fair, and I worked in basically a Bob Marley stall, like a Bob Marley t-shirt stall. So there was like all the t-shirts, there was like wallets, sunglasses, but it was mostly t-shirts, hoodies, and my boss was the biggest legend. His name was Mamadou, and we just had such a laugh. Like, we used to just blare reggae music all day, sell t-shirts, and like the second people found out I was Irish, they were like putting in my hands, and it was so fun because it was like this big massive fair. It was so cool. I'll actually insert a picture here of like the fair, and a good few of my friends who I was in San Diego with at the time had jobs either like in the fast food stalls or stuff like that, and like on your break you got to walk around the fair. Our stand was like across the way from a psychic, so that was really cool, and it was just so fun, so chilled, and I had so much fun working there. Okay, so that is all 10 of my retail jobs. So now we're gonna go and move on to beauty, because obviously I am a makeup artist. I'm gonna talk about the jobs I had before I became a makeup artist, and then the jobs I've had after. My first job was in CH. CH is like a local pharmacy. I think I was there like as a casual Christmas employee, like wrapping presents. But I always like loved the makeup, so it was very fun to work in there, very glam, and Christmas time in CH is always absolutely mental. So I remember I was so bad at wrapping presents as well. Like, I was probably about 16 or 17, I can't even remember, but oh my god, I was the worst present wrapper, and I was so slow, and I hated wrapping presents. The next job I had in beauty was in Boots. In Boots, my role was like on the beauty side. Like, it was also, I think, a Christmas temporary role, but it was on like the more beauty side in the store. In Boots I was more on the beauty side, so I loved that, like advising people on like makeup and stuff, even though I wasn't a makeup artist yet, but I still like knew a lot about it. Then I went to Dublin and I got my makeup qualification, and then my first makeup job was in House of Fraser in Dublin on a beauty counter, Lancome. So that was my first ever makeup job. It's actually where I met one of my still really good friends to this day, Jess. Oh, me and Jess she was on the Lancome counters when I started, and we just used to have the best laugh. My manager was really sound when I started, and then things just kind of went weird. I just am the biggest fan of beauty retail, because as a makeup artist, like when you're working for one brand, you have to obviously only recommend one brand. You're doing makeup with one brand, and not every makeup brand is going to have amazing of everything. I don't know of any makeup brand that has like the best everything, I guess. So for me, trying to sell makeup to people that I didn't necessarily believe in was difficult, and it just didn't fit with my whole vibe. It didn't fit with, like, I remember one time someone came to me and asked for eyeshadows, and like the brand I was working for at the time, like their eyeshadows, and I don't think they still are the best. So I was like, here, just go down to Urban Decay, it's around the corner, and they'll sort you out. But working on a beauty floor was really fun. all the girls around me were really sound, and like we used to have a good laugh, like all the girls on the floor, so it was definitely fun. Then after that, when I came home, I worked in House of Glamour. So House of Glamour is like a nail bar. They do nails, they do hair, they do makeup, they do waxing, they do eyebrows, they do everything. And it's owned by my very good friend Inga. I've been going to Inga for like, I think it's like 6 years now for my nails. But I remember when I came back, she was like, do you want to work alongside us, like do makeup in the salon? I was like, oh my god, amazing. So I worked there for a while, up to kind of before I went to Australia, I guess, doing makeup. And that was really fun, like being in a salon environment, but kind of being able to use all my own products and all my own makeup was very fun. Then the last beauty, well, not the last beauty job, but another beauty job I had was I was one of the official makeup artists for the IFTAs, so the Irish Film and Television Awards. I did like a few Irish celebs, I guess, a few actresses, and that was really, really fun. My most recent and probably my favorite beauty job was I worked in Valon's hair cutters in Australia. So when I went into Valon's, I was in there as a receptionist, and I was working alongside another girl. She was the manager, she was from Dublin, and my whole Valon's experience was so fun. Being in that environment every day was great, like organising all the hair appointments, organising the clients and making sure everyone's okay and all that kind of stuff. And then also from working there, being a receptionist, the owner came up to me one day and she was like, you do makeup? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh my god. So basically Valon's, they used to have like a content day every Tuesday or Wednesday when the salon wouldn't be as busy as it normally is. So they'd get in models, like professional models from modeling agencies in Sydney, and they'd get them in to do the content for their Instagram. They didn't like using paying clients as Instagram content, so they used to get the models in, and then I used to do the makeup on the models. So that was so fun. We had so much fun. I loved working there. It was like the most creative, fun, but still like really strict and like really work focused environment that I've worked in. And it was definitely like an inspiring environment to work in, because I just saw how hard everyone worked and how much everyone loved their craft and how much went into everything that was going on. And it was definitely one of my favorite jobs. Whew, how have I had so many jobs? Like, how is this my life? So now we're moving on to hospitality. Hospitality is like one of the main, not the main areas I worked in, but I guess I've had a lot of hospitality jobs. I think hospitality jobs are like really character building, and you know, you learn how to deal with the public. You know, they're handy jobs to get. Once you have experience in hospitality, you can always pick up a hospitality job, in my opinion. So I'm just going to name out all the different ones and not really talk about them unless there's like something to talk about. In the Milesian, which is a restaurant out in Castle Gregory, I worked in Gregory's Garden, which it was like it was for the same owner, but it was like an extension, so it was like more of a deli vibe. Oh my god, oh, the food there, like, and I was in the deli, so I was making all the food, like making all the sandwiches and everything. Then I worked in how many different hotels? I worked in 2 different local hotels. So at the Carlton Hotel, which is now the Rose Hotel, but I worked there when it was the Carlton, and I worked there during the Rose of Tralee, which is like my local town's biggest festival. It was absolute mayhem. Then I worked in Ballycity Garden Centre, Finnegan's Restaurant, Cassidy's Restaurant, the Nightjar, the Brogue. I worked in Costa Coffee. Costa Coffee, I had never even made it to making coffees. I don't even know what I did in there. Like, I wasn't making coffees because I didn't know how. I think it was like a seasonal position, like cleaning tables or something. And then like at the time when I worked there, I just didn't want to stay there, so I left. I actually worked in an Irish fish and chip shop in Australia, in Coogee. It was like a job to tie me over in between jobs, and it was the most gas thing. Like, I worked with 2 other Irish girls, one of them was actually my roommate, and it was just so gas. Like we had the best crack. Like we used to just be blaring music, and like the fish and chip shop was in Coogee in Sydney, so it used to get so busy, and like on Sundays people used to be so hungover, and when there was festivals on, and it was absolutely jointed. Like I used to think before, like, oh my god, I could never work in a fish and chip shop, because you'd want to eat the food the whole time, but honestly you don't, because you just smell it the whole time and you're like, oh, I couldn't think of anything worse than eating that. And I worked in a Chinese takeaway. So I was like the takeaway girl, so people would like ring up and I'd be like, hey, how are you, what would you like? That was really fun, really handy, really easy, and the women I was working with were so sound, but I was just the girl answering the phone, taking the orders, so it was a very handy job. I worked in a restaurant as well in Sydney called Barzora, so it was like in Coogee on the opposite end to the fish and chip shop. I was like right on the water, and it used to be so busy for like brunch and stuff. All the lads in there were so sound. We used to have the best laugh, and it was very fun. I feel like hospitality jobs, like in hospitality jobs, your colleagues are always so sound, always up for the laugh. Everyone's kind of your age and up for having the crack, because obviously working in hospitality, I feel like the kitchen can get very stressful, and you just have to be able to take it on the chin and just smile, and even smile at difficult customers, and just have your customer service voice that you love serving people, and you're always so happy and friendly to serve people. Actually, so that is my 13 hospitality jobs. I'm pretty sure there's more that I'm forgetting, but I actually just can't remember. And then we have some miscellaneous jobs. So I worked in Higgins Waste, which is a bin company, and I was working there in the admin, but I was working during a changeover. So the bin system in Ireland was changing over. So it was going in, like it was when recycling and everything was really coming in, and people had to pay by weight. So the heavier your bin was, the more you pay, which kind of makes sense. But people were losing their minds. So I was the person on the phone answering all the phone calls, and it was great, you know. People were screaming down the phone at me, but I like don't take anything personally. So I was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that, and just explaining things, and it was really fun, really character building, but a really chilled environment. Like it was an office environment, but it wasn't corporate, so it was more chilled, and like you just had your work to do and you did your work, and that was it. The next job I worked in was Pluto Communications. So Pluto is based in Dublin. They're like an events agency, an advertising events agency. So they used to have loads of events for really big clients like Bank of Ireland, Audi, I think it was either Google or Apple. I worked the Irish Open, which was really fun. Like me and one of the girls, Niamh, we just always ended up being put on the same kind of jobs, and we just had the best crack. Like event jobs were just so much crack. Like you just set up the event, make sure all the clients are okay. And for the Irish Open, we were literally in this like van out the front of the Irish Open, like nowhere near the K Club, and we basically had to take the tickets off all the people who were there. I think they were there with like corporate or something, so we literally just sat in a van chatting. And oh my god, one of the jobs then we had was like, we were basically doing door-to-door sales in the middle of December in Dublin in the pitch dark with like, oh, it was the funniest job ever. Like it was again me and Niamh and like other people, but it was just so funny. Like no one wants to buy things from door-to-door salespeople. It was, I think it was a newspaper we were selling. I don't know what we were selling. And like no one was barely answering the door. Like imagine at like 6 o'clock in the evening in December, people knocking on your door trying to sell you a like newspaper subscription. Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, loved working with Pluto. Did a lot of work in colleges with like Bank of Ireland, setting up people with like bank accounts and stuff like that. Another one of my jobs then is with the Tralee Advertiser. So I actually still have this job. With the Tralee Advertiser, I have many roles. So I'm the beauty and fitness columnist every week. So I write a beauty column and a fitness column. Well, obviously not in the moment because Corona. I also do their social media pages and like digital marketing and stuff like that. That's what I do for the Tralee Advertiser. And then my last and final job, which is a job that I'm still doing, is a makeup artist. So I'm a freelance makeup artist. that is what I do. I have my own kit. I do makeup. Well, obviously not at the moment because Corona, but I do like makeup for weddings, makeup for events and stuff like that. So that's like one of the constant jobs, I suppose, along with the Truly Advertiser that I have at the moment. So yeah, as you can tell, I've had a lot of jobs. You know, if I ever felt like someone was like disrespecting me or taking me for a ride or just, you know, was such a negative energy on my daily life, I was like, I don't need this job. Like, I can find another one. It's not like this is my career. And I think that's why I've had so many jobs, because so many of these jobs were not the career I wanted for myself. You know, they were never going to be my lifetime career. As soon as either I didn't enjoy it myself going in there because I wasn't feeling, I don't know, inspired, or I don't know, I just don't like the idea of working somewhere that like has complete control over your life and your day and your mind. And you know, I'm sure everyone has had this feeling. Joe, when you're walking to work and you are dreading it and you're like I feel like there's a difference being like, oh, I don't want to go to work today, to being like, I couldn't think of anything worse than going in here now and working, and oh my god, and it's such bad vibes and it's such bad energy and blah. And as soon as I had those feelings, I was like, I can get another job. Like, I would say 50% of the jobs I've had were fine. You know, my management was fine, everyone I worked with was fine, everyone was sound. And then the other 50% were like, why am I here? Why am I here? I'm not going to tell you what 50% were what, but yeah, I feel like 50% jobs I've had, I've been like, why am I here? This is not for me. This is not what I see myself doing. This is such bad vibes and I can do something else. Okay, I'm going to tell you my top 5 jobs out of the 32. So yeah, it's 32 in total jobs I have had, and I'm only 25. Jesus Christ. So in no particular order, but these are like my top 5. The Del Mar Fair, working in the Bob Marley t-shirt stand, that was just so fun and I enjoyed it so much. Valons in Australia, I would go back there and work there in the morning. Pluto, the events place, because again, it was so fun. Every day was different and we had such a laugh. Do you know what? Working in the Miletians was fun because a lot of the people I worked with were very sound, and it's probably my favourite hospitality job I've had, working in the Miletian and Greg's Garden. So that's number 4. And then number 5 is working for the Truly Advertiser, just because creatively I'm allowed basically do what I want. I'm more or less my own boss. You know, it's a very flexible job, it's a very creative job, and they're the kind of jobs that I thrive in. Let me know in the comments if you're like me, if you've had loads of jobs. How many jobs have you had? What's your favorite job? Just to give you some interview tips, just in case some of you are watching this video and it's because you're going to an interview or you want to know how to get a job. You have to walk in to every interview you go into like you already have the job. You have to act like you already have the job. You have to have confidence. I think confidence in an interview is key. You have to be friendly, smiley, and just chat shit. No one tells 100% the truth on their CV, I think, in my opinion. You know, buff yourself up a bit, talk yourself up. You know, you have nothing to lose, and once you get the job and you can prove yourself, it's fine. There's been a good few jobs that I've said I've had the experience and I haven't, and when I've got in there, I've just like thrived so much that they didn't even question whether or not I had the experience. I'm not going to tell you which jobs. Wear red lipstick to your interview. I'm telling you, every interview I've gone to that I've worn red lipstick to, I've got the job. It just, apparently it's like a statistic that it makes you appear more confident when you wear red lipstick. If you have a job interview and you wear red lipstick, I'm telling you, you are getting that job. So let me know in the comments how many jobs you've had. Let me know if you think I'm absolutely crazy for having so many jobs. Like, how on earth can someone have had so many jobs? Let me know if you've had more jobs than me. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a very weird, very random one, but I said I would sit down and just tell you, just lay it all out, you know, let you get to know me better. I feel like there's a few jobs that I've genuinely forgotten, but I just can't remember them all. If you are new here, hello, hi, welcome. My name is Rebecca Short. If you like my vibe, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps out my channel. If you are new as well, I have plenty more videos that you can binge watch. What else would we be doing at the moment other than binge watching YouTube videos? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.